You are being lied to. Most men believe their fading performance after 55 is just a natural consequence of gray hair. They accept it. They assume their body is simply winding down. This is a dangerous medical myth. Every single day, millions of men spend fortunes on synthetic testosterone gels and blue pills, hoping for a quick chemical rescue. They completely ignore the mechanical reality of their blood vessels. Your gray hair does not dictate your erection. Your vascular health does. The ability to maintain rigidity at 60 is not a matter of luck. It is a matter of basic physics and blood flow. If your system cannot generate pressure, hormones will not save you. Before we unpack the biology, do me a quick favor. Drop a comment right now with your city and country. I read every single one to see where our community is watching from. I am Dr. David Chen. Over the last 2 decades, I have seen thousands of men between 55 and 65 enter my clinic with the exact same story. They feel broken. They feel older than they should. But when we look at their daily habits, the truth becomes obvious. You are not broken. You are just fighting your own biology every night. Let us look at the actual science of what happens when you go to bed. An erection is not just a sexual event. It is a biological dashboard. It is a hydraulic test. It is the ultimate indicator of your cardiovascular health. During the night, a healthy male body goes through a series of involuntary tests. We call this nocturnal penile tumescence, or simply night erections. Your brain triggers these cycles during REM sleep. Why? It is not about dreams or fantasies. It is a maintenance protocol. Your brain sends signals down the spinal cord to flood the erectile tissue with fresh, oxygen-rich blood. This oxygen prevents tissue death or fibrosis. It keeps the delicate, smooth muscle tissue elastic. It acts as a natural, self-regulating repair mechanism. Think of it as a biological engine run. If you do not run the engine, the part seize up. If you do not experience these morning or night erections, your tissues are slowly starving. They lose elasticity. The smooth muscle is gradually replaced by collagen fibers, essentially scar tissue. Over years, this structural starvation leads to permanent, irreversible changes. And yet, most men over 55 have normalized this absence. They think, I am older now, so this is just what happens. My hormones are dry. It is not. It is a sign of vascular decay, not natural aging. If you still do these 6 specific things in bed, your vascular system is functioning at a level that places you in the top 5% of men your age. You are truly one of a kind. You are resisting the environmental decay that ruins most men by 60. Let us break down the first thing. Waking up with a morning erection. Most men think morning wood is a sign of a full bladder, or perhaps a random sexual dream. That is incorrect. It is the final cycle of your night repairs. During REM sleep, your sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight response that dominates your stressful day, is completely dialed down. At the same time, your parasympathetic system, the rest and digest response, takes over. This shift allows the neurotransmitter acetylcholine to act on the endothelial cells lining your penile arteries. This triggers a cascade. The cells release nitric oxide. This gas diffuses into the surrounding smooth muscle cells, activating an enzyme called guanylyl cyclase. This enzyme increases levels of cyclic guanosine monophosphate, or CGMP. It is CGMP that tells the smooth muscles in your penile arteries to relax. When these muscles relax, blood pressure pushes into the cavernous bodies. The veins that drain blood out are compressed against the rigid outer sheath, the tunica albuginea. The blood is trapped under pressure. The tissue is oxygenated. If you wake up with this rigidity, it means your microvascular health is intact. Your body is still capable of producing enough CGMP to dilate those tiny helicine arteries. These arteries are only 1 to 2 millimeters wide. They are much smaller than the coronary arteries of your heart. They are the canary in the coal mine. If they are clear, your heart is likely clear too. If they are blocked, it is a warning sign that your cardiovascular system is struggling. The plaque is already forming. This brings us to the second thing. breathing strictly through your nose while you sleep. This sounds simple. It sounds like a minor detail for snoring or sleep apnea. It is far more critical than that. Your nose is a sophisticated chemical factory. When you breathe through your nasal passages, your paranasal sinuses produce nitric oxide continuously. This is a gas. You inhale it into your lungs. From there, it enters your bloodstream and travels throughout your entire systemic circulation. Nitric oxide is the exact compound that signals the endothelial cells in all your blood vessels to dilate. Without it, your arteries remain narrow, rigid, and restricted. If you breathe through your mouth at night, you bypass this chemical factory completely. Mouth breathing leads to chronic hyperventilation. It washes out carbon dioxide from your lungs. You might think carbon dioxide is just waste. It is not. You need carbon dioxide to release oxygen from your hemoglobin into your tissues. This is the Bohr effect. When carbon dioxide drops, hemoglobin grips oxygen tightly. It refuses to release it. Your tissues starve. Your oxygen delivery drops by up to 20%. The third thing is sleeping without a screen in your bed. No phone, no tablet, no television. We live in a world saturated with artificial blue light. Our ancestors slept in complete darkness, guided only by the moon and the dying embers of a fire. Today, men check their emails, read news, or scroll through social media under the sheets. The screen is inches from their pupils. This blue light is concentrated. It has a wavelength of about 480 nanometers. This specific wavelength directly hits the melanopsin-containing ganglion cells in your retina. These cells send an immediate electrical signal to your master circadian pacemaker, the suprachiasmatic nucleus. The signal says, "It is noon. Stop all night functions." Your brain instantly halts the production of melatonin from the pineal gland. Melatonin is not just a sleep aid. It is a master regulator of your endocrine system. It acts as a powerful scavenger of free radicals, protecting your arterial walls from oxidative stress. More importantly, melatonin directly influences the pulsatile release of gonadotropin-releasing hormone, or GnRH, from the hypothalamus. This hormone dictates the release of luteinizing hormone, or LH. LH is the key chemical messenger that travels through your bloodstream to the Leydig cells in your testicles, commanding them to convert cholesterol into testosterone. When you block melatonin with blue light, you do not just get poor sleep. You chemically castrate yourself for the night. You crush your overnight testosterone spike. Your body produces the vast majority of its free testosterone during deep REM and slow-wave sleep. If you disrupt this cycle, you wake up with the hormonal profile of an 80-year-old. Men who keep their bedrooms completely dark and tech-free protect this critical endocrine cascade. They allow their brains to communicate with their Leydig cells without digital interference. This connects directly to the fourth thing, sleeping in a cool room. Your core body temperature must drop by about 2 degrees Fahrenheit for your brain to initiate the transition into deep, slow-wave sleep. If your bedroom is too warm, or if you use heavy, non-breathable synthetic blankets that trap heat, your body struggles to achieve this temperature drop. It has to work. It pumps blood to your skin to dissipate heat, keeping your resting heart rate elevated. Your heart should beat slow at night. If it is beating fast, your sympathetic nervous system remains active. You stay trapped in stage 1 and stage 2 light sleep. You miss the slow wave sleep cycles entirely. This slow wave phase is where physical tissue regeneration occurs. This is the only window when your pituitary gland releases large pulses of growth hormone. Growth hormone is the primary agent of endothelial repair. It works like a maintenance crew, repairing the micro tears in the inner lining of your blood vessels. Without this endothelial repair, your blood vessels become chronically inflamed. Plaque builds up to cover the damage. As plaque increases, the endothelium loses its ability to synthesize nitric oxide. It is a vicious cycle. Less sleep leads to damaged vessels, which leads to worse blood flow, which leads to impotence. Furthermore, your testicles are suspended outside your body cavity for a strict biological reason. They must remain about 2 degrees Celsius cooler than your core body temperature to maintain proper spermatogenesis and testosterone synthesis. Overheating your body at night with a hot room or tight clothing suppresses testicular enzyme function. Sleeping in a cold room, ideally between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit, keeps your heart rate low, your nervous system relaxed, and your testicular temperature optimal. It is a physical requirement for masculine vitality. The fifth thing is going to bed with an empty stomach. Specifically, fasting for at least 3 to 4 hours before your head hits the pillow. Many men have a persistent habit of late-night snacking. They watch television and consume chips, cereal, cookies, or even eat a massive carbohydrate-rich dinner at 9 o'clock. When you consume carbohydrates or proteins, your pancreas secretes insulin. Insulin is the storage hormone. Its job is to clear glucose from your blood and push it into muscle and fat cells. If your insulin levels are spiked while you sleep, you lock the door to your nighttime repair. Why? Because high insulin levels directly suppress the secretion of human growth hormone, or HGH, from your pituitary gland. HGH and insulin have an antagonistic relationship. When one is up, the other is forced down. Slow-wave sleep is the exact time when your growth hormone should peak. HGH is the compound that initiates cellular autophagy, the process where your cells clean out damaged proteins and repair the endothelial lining of your microvasculature. If you sleep with high insulin, you block this cleanup crew. The damage remains. Late-night eating also forces your digestive system to work overtime. Blood is diverted from your brain and your periphery to your splanchnic circulation, your stomach and intestines. Your heart has to beat harder and faster to pump this blood. Your resting heart rate remains elevated by 10 to 15 beats per minute during the first half of the night. This high heart rate keeps your autonomic nervous system trapped in a low-grade sympathetic state. You cannot enter the deep, restorative parasympathetic state. You cannot trigger the spontaneous, involuntary night erections that oxygenate your erectile tissues. If you go to bed with low insulin levels, having fasted for 4 hours, your heart rate drops. Your body enters fat-burning mode. HGH peaks. Systemic inflammation decreases. Your endothelial cells heal. Your vessels dilate naturally. Men who maintain this empty stomach rule protect their vascular elasticity at its core. The sixth thing is practicing a deliberate, conscious physical transition before sleep. We do not live like our evolutionary ancestors. We do not spend the afternoon performing physical work in the fields, watching the sun slowly descend, and allowing our brains to transition naturally into darkness. Most modern men work stressful, high-alert office jobs. They stare at financial markets, read urgent work messages, argue, worry about bills, and then jump straight from their desks or couch into bed. They expect their brain to act like a light switch. They expect it to turn off instantly. Physiology does not work that way. Your bloodstream is still flooded with circulating cortisol and noradrenaline. These stress hormones are survival chemicals. They are powerful vasoconstrictors. When adrenaline binds to the alpha-1 adrenergic receptors on the smooth muscles of your arteries, it causes them to clamp shut. In the human body, the penile arteries have an extremely high density of these alpha-1 adrenergic receptors. When you are stressed, your brain assumes you are facing a threat, a predator, a crisis. It prioritizes survival. It diverts blood flow away from the reproductive organs to your skeletal muscles. The cavernous arteries contract. As long as your sympathetic nervous system is screaming, an erection is biochemically impossible. If you take 10 to 15 minutes before bed to consciously signal safety to your brain, using slow diaphragmatic breathing, light stretching, or reading a non-digital book, you shift your nervous system. You pull the emergency brake on cortisol. You activate the vagus nerve. You enter the parasympathetic zone. This is the only neurological state where blood flow is permitted to enter the pelvic floor. If you skip this transition, your body spends hours in a state of chemical vigilance, clamping your arteries and depriving your erectile tissues of the oxygen they need to survive the night. You spend the night in a state of vascular emergency. Consider the physical dimensions we are discussing here. The blood vessels that supply your heart, the coronary arteries, are about 3 to 4 millimeters in diameter. The arteries that supply your brain are similar, but the cavernous arteries that supply the erectile tissue are tiny. They measure between 0.5 and 1.5 millimeters. Because they are so small, they are the first to show symptoms of systemic cardiovascular disease. If you have a low-grade buildup of plaque, or if your arteries are constantly constricted by adrenaline and cortisol, the tiny penile arteries block first. This happens years before the larger coronary arteries block. This is what clinical cardiologists call the size theory of vascular disease. An erectile issue at 55 is not an isolated plumbing problem. It is an early warning system. It is a biological notification that your entire arterial tree is losing its flexibility. If the microvessels in your pelvis are struggling to dilate, the vessels in your heart and brain are not far behind. This is why cardiologists now check for erectile health as a primary marker for future cardiovascular events. When you ignore this warning, you are ignoring the loudest signal your heart can send. Let us look at how these 6 factors interact. Your body is a single, integrated system. If you breathe through your mouth, you lack nitric oxide. If you eat late, you raise insulin and block growth hormone. If you use screens, you block melatonin and lower testosterone. If your room is hot, you miss deep sleep. If you are stressed, cortisol constricts your blood vessels. The result? Over time, your morning erections disappear. Then, your performance during the day begins to fail. You think it is a local problem. You think you need a pill to fix it, but it is a systemic warning. If you are between 55 and 65 and you still experience morning rigidity, breathe through your nose, keep screens out of bed, sleep in a cold room, fast before sleep, and manage your stress, you are preventing the vascular aging that affects the vast majority of men. You are maintaining the vascular age of a 30-year-old. Now let us discuss how to implement these changes if you have lost these habits. If you have spent the last 5, 10, or 15 years neglecting these protocols, do not panic. It is not too late. The human endothelial lining, the single layer of cells that lines all your blood vessels, is one of the most regenerative tissues in the body. It replaces itself completely every few months. Your vascular system is highly adaptable. But you must stop looking for magic solutions in a bottle. You must stop believing that a pill can override 16 hours of daily biological abuse. You must address the hourly, daily architecture of your sleep and your environment. Start with your breathing. This is your immediate priority. If you wake up with a dry mouth, if you snore, or if you feel fatigued despite sleeping 8 hours, you are mouth breathing. You are starving your heart and your pelvic floor of nitric oxide. To fix this, we use a simple but highly effective tool, mouth taping. Apply a small strip of medical-grade hypoallergenic paper tape vertically over the center of your lips before sleep. This is not about sealing your mouth shut aggressively. It is a sensory reminder. It forces your jaw to remain closed, guiding your breath through your nasal passages. In the first 2 nights, it will feel unusual. Your brain might panic slightly. But by the 3rd night, your sinuses will adjust. They will produce a steady, concentrated stream of nitric oxide that travels directly to your lungs, dilating your pulmonary and systemic arteries. Within a single week of nasal breathing, many of my patients report the return of spontaneous morning rigidity. They report waking up with a clear mind and a throat that is not dry or inflamed. Next, establish a strict digital curfew. The suprachiasmatic nucleus is highly sensitive to light between the hours of 9 in the evening and 2 in the morning. Turn off all screens, your phone, your tablet, your laptop, your television, at least 90 minutes before you plan to sleep. If you must use a device, Use red-tinted blue-blocking glasses that filter out wavelengths below 500 nanometers. But the ideal protocol is absolute avoidance. Leave your smartphone in another room. Buy a simple, cheap analog alarm clock that does not emit light. Instead of staring at a screen, spend those 90 minutes reading a physical book under warm, dim, amber light. This lack of blue light signals your pineal gland to begin releasing melatonin. This release is the chemical green light that starts the overnight testosterone synthesis in your testicles. Adjust your eating window immediately. Finish your last bite of food at least 3, preferably 4 hours before you sleep. If your target sleep time is 10 o'clock, your kitchen must close at 6. No exceptions. No snacks, no milk, no protein shakes. Drink only water or non-caffeinated herbal teas like chamomile. This window allows your pancreas to clear insulin from your bloodstream. When insulin drops, your pituitary gland is cleared to release the deep sleep pulses of human growth hormone. This hormone works like a maintenance crew, repairing the micro tears in the inner lining of your blood vessels. It keeps your resting heart rate low during the night. Keep your bedroom cool. Turn down the thermostat to a range between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. If your partner feels cold, use separate blankets or wear warm socks to keep your extremities dilated, but keep the air temperature cool. This drop in temperature allows your core body temperature to decrease, which is a physical requirement for entering the deep phases of slow-wave sleep. Finally, design a simple 5-minute wind-down routine to shift your autonomic nervous system. Before you get into bed, sit on the edge of your mattress. Keep your back straight. Perform 3 minutes of controlled nasal breathing using the 4-4-6 pattern. Inhale slowly through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold that breath for 4 seconds. Exhale slowly through your nose for 6 seconds. The prolonged exhale activates the vagus nerve. It acts as a chemical brake on your sympathetic nervous system. It tells your amygdala, the fear center of your brain, that the day's battles are over. The adrenaline drops. The cortisol levels begin to decline. The alpha-1 adrenergic receptors on your arteries relax. The blood flow returns to your internal organs and your pelvic floor. You prepare your body for a night of deep vascular repair. These changes do not require a prescription. They do not cost hundreds of dollars a month. They require only self-discipline and respect for your biology. But the payoff is massive. If you are between 55 and 65, and you still do these things, you are preserving your masculine vitality. You are keeping your cardiovascular system young. You are protecting the delicate mechanics that allow you to live life as a complete, healthy man, regardless of the date on your birth certificate. If this kind of evidence-based biological information is what you have been missing, subscribing takes 2 seconds and ensures you will never miss our next clinical breakdown. Think about your evening routine tonight. What will you change before you close your eyes? The choice is yours. Take care of your vascular health, and your body will take care of you. I am Dr. David Chen. Let us meet in the next video.